Assalamualaikum, I am Shazza Sharabia from DUB 1A. My matrix number is 15DUB21F1044. Today I would like to present about frame structure, which is in topic 4. What is frame structure? A frame structure in any material is one that is made stable by a skeleton that is able to stand by itself as a rigid structure without depending on floors or walls to resist deformations. Materials such as precast concrete, steel, and timber, which are strong in both tension and compressions. What is function of frame structure? Frame structures are the structures having the combination of beam, column, and slab to resist the lateral and gravity loads. These structures are usually used to overcome the large moments developing due to the applied loading. Specification of frame structure. Frame structure with RCC columns and beams over brick masonry walls of 9 feet for external and 4.5 feet for the internal walls duly plastered. Floor height will be 10 feet inclusive of slab. Pest control will be done during the foundation. Types of frame structure. Frame structures can be categorized as two. The first one is a rigid frame structure, which are further subdivided into pin-ended and fixed-ended. Number 2 is braced frame structure, which are further subdivided into gable frames and portal frame. What is rigid structural frame? First, the word rigid implies the ability to stand the deformation. Rigid frame structures can be defined as the structures having columns and beams, made monolithically and acting together to tolerate the moments which are producing as a result of applied load. Number 2, rigid frame structure offer further stability. This kind of frame structure bear the moment, shear and torsion more efficiently as compared to any other type of frame structures. This is the reason why this frame system is utilized in world's most amazing structure Burj Al Arab. The first one is pin-ended rigid structural frames. A pin-ended rigid frame system usually has pins as their support conditions. This frame system is considered to be non-rigid if its support conditions are removed. Number 2, fixed-ended rigid frame structure. In this type of rigid frame system and conditions are usually fixed. What is braced structural frames? In this frame system, bracing are usually provided between beams and columns to increase their resistance against the lateral forces and sideways forces due to applied load. Bracing is usually done by placing the diagonal members between the beams and columns. These frame systems provide more efficient resistance against the earthquake and wind forces. This frame system is more effective than rigid frame system. The first one is cable structural frame. Cable frame structures usually have the peak at their top. These frame systems are in use where there are possibilities of heavy rain. Number 2, portal structural frame. Portal structural frames usually look like a door. This frame system is very much in use for construction of industrial and commercial buildings. Advantage and disadvantage frame structure. The advantage is, number 1, one of the best advantages of frame structure is their ease in construction. It is very easy to teach the labor at the construction site. Number 2, frame structure can be constructed rapidly. Number 3, economy is also a very important factor in the design of building system. Frame structure have economical designs. Disadvantage. In frame structure, span lengths are usually restricted to 40 feet when normal reinforced concrete. Otherwise, span greater than that can cause lateral deflection. This is the illustrations of frame structure. Materials qualities for precast concrete. Precasting construction method is an ideal answer to quality problems when there are difficulties in executing the particular type of work in situ. For example, the installation of formwork, reinforcement, and provisions of opening during the construction of staircases, refuse cut, and lift pose considerable challenges leading to crowd loss inconsistent joints, surface damage, and imperfections. Using precast elements for these components, such defects can be reduced. For steel framing design offers greater strength compared to its weight, which facilitates safe construction of high-rise or complex buildings because steel is manufactured mechanically. It is produced a consistency that cannot be found with timber frame buildings. For timber frame construction has been the system of choice for many years. It has also been the subject of much research into the optimal value engineered framing design. For the most part, this research has been focused on the downward loads on the structure. More recently, as a result of the building to withstand uplift has become an important subject.
Precast concrete. Precast concrete is a form of concrete that is prepared, cast, and cured off-site, usually in a controlled factory environment using reusable mold. Precast concrete elements can be joined to other elements to form a complete structure. It is typically used for structural components such as wall panels, beams, columns, floor, staircase, pipes, tunnels, and so on. Precast concrete process. The concrete is poured into steel and wooden mold with rebar or wire. In a controlled environment, it is cured at a plant. After finishing, it is transported to the construction site. Types of precast concrete. There are several types of precast concrete. The first one, precast concrete beams. Beams which are relatively small in prismatic section but large in flexural and shear capacity are the main horizontal load carrying members in skeleton structure. Beams fall into two different categories, which are internal and external. Number 2 is precast concrete floor slab. The precast slab is the most used component in several construction sites because it suits every type of architecture adapts to the requirement. There are several types of flooring systems available in our country, which include precast concrete half slab, precast concrete hollow core slab, and precast concrete pre-stressed plank. Number 3. Precast concrete load-bearing wall. Precast concrete load-bearing wall panels have structural, aesthetic, and functional features which will result in the construction of an attractive building at a lower cost. These features allow the designer to express the structural system on the building facade and can become an important aspect in some design. The load-bearing wall panels will are connected at every floor level in multi-story buildings, can be either one story or several stories high, up to maximum transportable length. Figure C shows an example of a quarters building that was constructed using the load-bearing wall system. Number 4 is precast concrete staircase. Stairs are a vital part for the evacuation of people during fires and or accidents. Staircase should be designed to remain intact and the connection should be detailed in such a way that its stability is maintained, especially in cases of accident. Precast concrete staircase can be fabricated either individually or as a complete unit depending on the structural arrangement. And the last one is precast concrete column. Precast concrete columns are the main vertical load carrying members in precast structure. The structural design of precast concrete columns is no different for ordinary reinforced concrete columns, except for the loading history that a precast concrete column experiences during manufacturing, transportation, and erection as shown in Figure 4. Advantages and disadvantages of precast concrete. Advantages: precast concrete is cost-effective, aesthetic, durability, and safe construction platform. Meanwhile, disadvantages have high initial investment, handling difficulties, transportation issues, and modification.
Timber structure. Definition of timber structure is wood suitable for building or other engineering purposes is called timber. When it forms part of a living tree, it is called standing timber. When the tree has been felled, it is called rock timber. When it has been sawn to various market forms such as beam, batten, and planks, it is called converted timber. Function of timber flooring. A floor beam is beam which is the direct support of the floor load of a building and transfer this load to the adjacent girders. Or column is a floor beam or floor joist. These beams are commonly of steel, reinforced concrete, or wood. The term floor beam is also used to design the transverse beam of the floor system of a bridge which transmit load to the longitudinal girder of trusses. Type of timber floor beam. First, single joist timber floor. Second, double joist timber flooring. Third, from or triple joist timber floor. Specification. Column specification are used to define a table column in a create table description, or create view statement. To represent the column value in a select clause expression or in a search. In where having group by or order by clauses to represent all the result value after the clause is applied. To represent all the row value resulting from the grouping operation as a function argument. Illustration. Installation. For installation, keel for top beam and floor slab are also very important because any manufacturing technique used in performing a job is intended to ensure that the planned work agreement must achieve the set goals. Among the goals set is to complete the structure according to the schedule, the allocated cost, and the time that has been set. Advantage of timber structure. First, versatility and durability. Second, cost. Third is insulation. Disadvantage of timber structure. First, creakage and swelling. Second, condensation. Third is fire.
The steel structure is a structure composed of steel materials, which is one of the main building structure types. Steel structure installation quickly. The building is mainly composed of steel beams, steel columns, steel trusses, and other components made of shaped steel and steel plate. Actually, and usually where the mortar or riveter joints are used between each member or part, because of its lightweight and simple construction. ABS, or being called as Industrialized Building System, is an application of construction technology using prefabrication of separated components in the construction project. Types of ABS use of Malaysia. First, steel framing system. Commonly utilized with precast concrete slab, steel columns, and steel beams. Steel formwork system is generally involves side casting and therefore subjected to structural quality control. Tunnel forms, steel up system, beam and columns molding forms. It offers high quality finish and fast construction with less site, labor, and material requirements. Floor beam. There are various types of floor systems that can be used in steel frame structural construction. Floors are commonly installed as the beams are erected. Not only do the floor systems support vertically applied loads, but also they actually light their primes and resist lateral loads through the use of bracing. Roof beam. From garage to workshop to warehouse, steel structure roof is used for steel building, but only because it is affordable and durable, almost no need to replace it. But the steel roof also provides a variety of function and protection to enhance comfort. Column. Steel column is a complicated process and the and this is just a brief overview of the main steps in the process. The function of steel structure. These buildings are made up of a steel framework that supports all the loads. The columns, beams, and girders in this building are made of steel sections. This building should be adequately braced in order to resist the wind and earthquake forces. Fire-resistant material and other light materials are generally used for the partition and exterior walls of this building. Thus, the steel frame buildings are similar to RCC frame buildings. Steel being so much stronger than all forms of masonry is capable of sustaining a far greater load in a given space. Needless to know, of columns properly can be spaced to provide support for the beams spanning between them, thus achieving large column-free space. Steel structure specification. Frames are generally used in buildings and are composed of beams and columns that are either pinned or fixed connected, like trusses. Frames excel in 2 or 3 dimensions. Frames can be any material, RCC, steel, wood, etc. In the case of a frame structure, loads of floors, roof, and panel walls are supported by the beams which ultimately transmit these loads to the columns. There are a few types of steel structure. There is carbon steel, alu steel, stainless steel, and lastly, tool steel. There are few installations that use in frame structure of steel. The first one is check the records and report before steel structure installation. Before the steel structure was installed, all kinds of records and reports were checked, such as quality certificate of components, material test report, non-destructive inspection report of building shape, and the appearance of the elements checked to see if they conform to the design requirements and the problems should be corrected immediately. The second one is the installation according to the flow chart. The installation flow chart of the steel structure is drawn and installed according to the flow chart. The precision of all anchor bolts should be checked before installation, and the spatial position and design drawing should be corrected timely to ensure the accuracy of the anchor bolt. There are few illustrations of steel structure.
The conclusion is, we can conclude that a frame structure is a building technique based around structural members, which provide a stable frame to which interior and exterior wall coverings are attached, and covered by a roof comprising horizontal ceiling joints and sloping rafters, all of which are covered by various sheathing materials to give weather resistance.